Hey everybody, I decided to go live anyway because um, whatever's going on with Coliseum JPA, their Zoom link doesn't work. And yeah, I've never seen anything like it before. There's a PDF that has a link and it's supposed to activate and it doesn't even work at all. So it does not work at all. Um, so I'm just going to publicize what the agenda is going to be and what they're talking about. Um, and in fact, I'm going to call Nate Miley right now because Nate is on it and let him know and say, well, I'm going to text him and say, Nate, because Coliseum JPA Zoom link not working. Because that's not the way it should be. And they're publicizing that these meetings are going to be, available and everything, and yet they're not. And it shouldn't be, a technical issue. Okay, well, everything is a technical issue to a degree, right? But it shouldn't be so difficult that you have to type in the code and make sure this happens. Everything else, it should be really simple. In fact, these meetings should automatically be posted. In a number of other governments, these meetings are automatically posted. You don't have to hunt to find them. They're on YouTube. Um, they're available to be seen. But in Oakland, this kind of secrecy is okay, and it shouldn't be. I'm gonna call Nate because he's on it. Let's see here.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 51050482588 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey Nate, what's going on with you guys? How you doing? First of all, the Coliseum JPA meeting. Supposed to have a live Zoom link. The link is not actuating at all. And I've tried different browsers. It's actually not even going. So I'm going to try another way. But really, if you're going to live stream these things, they should be accessible so that I can just go to a YouTube channel and watch them there, rather than Zoom. And I should be able to rebroadcast the YouTube channel. But the way this is done now is it's like there's a desire to hide things and there's little sunshine. That's the way it looks to me. I'm trying to get a hold of you. Bye. So yeah, that's what's going on. But public organizations run the risk. There's people like me who are going to say it. So the only thing that was on the agenda, let me pull up. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I say thanks. Thanks. Yeah. Have them send a live link, please. Yeah, because every place I go to, like San Francisco, has SF.gov. You can go to the board meetings and you can watch those. We have KTOP, right? We could use KTOP to have these broadcasts, but getting this out to the public should be, top priority. making sure that they're accessible to the public. These meetings should be top priority. They're not. So anyway, let me explain to you, since I don't have um, anything from them, let me explain to you what the agenda is. It's, first of all, it's light. Okay, there's not much. You're not missing much. But having said that, it's important for you to know exactly what it is that you're not missing. Right. Let me pull this up, this agenda, uh, right now, so you can see what is happening. And welcome, everybody. How you doing? I'm sharing screen here. This is window. This is the agenda. And boom, there it is. There's the agenda. Okay. So we've already missed call to order, roll call. And the only action item on here is a resolution that adopts findings regarding social distancing and public health arising from the COVID-19 pandemic, which warrant the continuation of remote teleconference public meetings by the authority under the Brown Act. Okay. And then there's open forum. So, you would think that, you would think that there would be a high degree of interest in trying to get out a meeting via teleconference on the very day that you're going to have this matter on the agenda, right? Now, there should be more than that on the agenda. For example, did you know Bad Bunny? Bad Bunny was in concert last night. Bad Bunny. So there should be a list of events at the Coliseum for the week and the attendance. Not only that, the JPA should be putting that information out by its own channels and broadcasting it and not leaving it to someone else, because the mainstream media has lost a lot of money, and yet among public officials in Oakland, there's this idea that, well, they have the same money that they used to, and they don't. They are scrambling, so they're only going to do what they see as paying them, and so it's left to organizations like the Oakland-Alameda Coliseum Joint Powers Authority to have their own media mechanism. They should hire Zenny 62 Media Incorporated to build it for them and run it, because otherwise it really looks like the organization is not interested in having the public know its business. Okay. And yet it's a public organization. That's untenable at the very bottom scale of everything. That's not something that should be. Now back to the matter of the agenda and what's on it. I just mentioned the matter of this action item in open forum, but there's more. There's the approval of minutes. There's the reports, and then there's the executive director report by Henry Gardner, which I wanted to hear, which will include Oakland Roots and Oakland Soul. Oakland Roots are actually looking for a new home, as are the Oakland Soul. And then arena naming rights is a big issue. And then there's the Aeg Agreement Amendment, which is part of the board package. And there's the general manager's report. And there's new business, which includes resolution ratifying and approving changes to the second amendment with AG&G Management LLC for management service at the Coliseum complex for a specified term. So this is a big day in terms of matters that the public should know about, right? Like, for example, who's running the Coliseum, how that's going, and so on, why their agreement should be extended, the whole 9 yards, stuff like that, right? But instead, it's not broadcast, all right? It is not broadcast, and that's a big problem before us. It is not something that anyone knows about. Of course, and so the assumption is people don't care, when in point of fact they really do. They really do care. They really do care. Let me pull this up here as well. I can't, let's see here. There's one thing I'm going to make an adjustment for. One moment, please. While I do that, I feel like announcing a line from Blazing Saddles, but I won't. I won't. If you've never seen Blazing Saddles, folks, you must see Blazing Saddles. Okay, you must see Blazing Saddles. All right. So anyway, here's the agenda. This is the roll call. All right. This is the action item right here. It's funny how this. There it is. There it is. The action item. The resolution I talked about regarding social distancing. There's the approval of minutes, the reports. There's the Oakland Roots and Oakland Soul. There's Arena Mites Aeg Agreement Amendment. Okay, all of that. So again, let me see something here. How one is able to be informed about that? Well, it's a dang on good question, man. It is a dang on dad. Is it dang on or dad gum? Whatever it is. Good question. Very good question. But hey, they don't seem to want you to know. Nate Miley said, I sent them my email. Let me see if someone has sent me a live link to this. And my email, let's see, getting verified on Google. Nope. Search. I have nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. I've got nothing. No emails or anything. Let me check the spam area. Spam. How to go live in 3 minutes. How to eat. No, just kidding. Nothing. Yeah, nothing from them. So, hey, Nate, I'm just letting you. I'm going to let Nate know. Hey, I am here online talking about you guys. Stop screen, share, and share screen here. And I'll go over to this one. This agenda. Do that one. There's another. Okay. See that? There's a resolution. There's open forum, approval of minutes and reports. Okay. So I'm giving you, in a sense, my open forum. So I'm going to try him again. Let's know they called me. Say nothing. Say nothing. But I am on live talking about you all anyway. And I'm sending him a screenshot, see? Like this. So, you see what I'm doing, folks? See? Like that, see? See? Yeah. So anyway, I'm on you. I'm talking about him anyway. Because it's wrong. You know? Nate says, sis, you got in the meeting. I told the staff there was a problem. Oh, not in meeting. Yeah. Not in meeting. Just live streaming about it. Can't get in. PDF link doesn't work. Tried all devices. Tried all devices. Yeah, never happened before. Happened before. Never before. Should be meetings. Should be on YouTube anyway. Meetings should be on YouTube anyway. You know, I mean, no other government does this. What is this, my friend? No other government does this, my friend. I mean, we're in the middle of the Bay Area, right? The tech capital. And yet, this, okay? I mean, really, okay? Just, that's the best way to go. It's like, you know, come on. Anyway, as I was saying, let me talk about naming rights for a second here, because that's a big issue. And a lot of you watching this don't know the history of naming rights in Oakland. Let me explain that the Oakland-Alameda County Coliseum has never had a naming rights agreement in its entire history that was reflective of its true value. For example, when I was working to bring the Super Bowl to Oakland in 1999, Sports Business Journal, what used to be called Street Smith Sports Business Journal, did a nationwide study of what the high value was of naming rights at different facilities, including the Coliseum. Ours was $80 million, right? $80 million. Now, with that, the best we've ever seen in terms of a naming rights agreement was $10 million. The best offer we ever have that we didn't do was actually from UMax, and that was in 1999. Actually, not even 1999, 1997. I stand corrected. But the Raiders didn't like the deal and couldn't come to an agreement on the name, UMax being on the Coliseum, even though it would have paid $19 million, even though that's roughly 1/4 of the full value at that point of what a naming rights deal should be. Now, fast forward to today, and we still have a naming rights agreement that's $10 million. So adjusted for inflation, we have a naming rights agreement that's might not iota half what it should be. It was, might not iota half in terms of actual value of the 10 million. So if that's shameful. All right. That is absolutely shameful. And it underscores, I'm just going to say this really bluntly, how badly the business of the Coliseum is ran. There is no excuse for a facility of the stature and size of the Oakland-Alameda County Coliseum complex with its iconic arena and iconic stadium to be ran the way that it is, but it is. Okay. But it is. And we don't have, as a whole, and this is not to speak personally about anyone. I love Henry Gardner as a person. He's the executive director currently, and Nate Miley and everyone else. But the problem is that the Coliseum has been ran either entirely private, as it was, even though it's publicly owned, as it was when George Rucasin was the president of the board, or it's been entirely public, as it is now. And there was no marriage. We had Scott McKibben as the best combination, a person that I really worked heaven and earth to get hired. But then they wound up letting go of Scott because first they asked him to get a marketing organization to sell naming rights. So he goes out and actually manages to do the deal himself. And so he figured, being a old sports marketing guy, that he had a right to a percentage, not knowing the 1090 laws of California regarding conflict of interest and how it's looked at. So he did it. The whistle was blown on him for reasons I think are still really weird, because to me it sounds like it was set up, and he managed to get out of it with basically a slap on the wrist. Okay, and that's that. And so, and that's that. So that is absolutely that. Ray Baba just contacted me and said, let me call Ray. Ray,
please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Call me. I can't into meeting via link not working from PDF weird. I am live. I'm low. All right. So my point is, I said link's not working in PDF. I am live though. So anyway, StreamYard sharing window. What he's saying is that the roots are up. They're trying to do what he calls a land grab. The Roots are the Oakland's professional soccer team, and they deserve an owner that has deep pockets, like here in Atlanta, Mr. Blank, who built Mercedes-Benz Stadium both for the Falcons, which he owns, and the Atlanta, the Five Stripes, as they call themselves, the Atlanta professional soccer team. But and they play to huge sellout audiences, just phenomenal crowd size, to say the least. Amazing. Something that I think could be done in Oakland if the right stadium situation was in place, but it's not. And again, once again, it's also Oakland that we have an organization in the Oakland Roots that should be, considering its own 30,000 to 50,000 seat stadium right there on Coliseum grounds as part of, Coliseum City Complex, right? But no, we're not doing that. And let me try him again. Let's see here, because maybe he has a streaming and send.
Please leave a message and I'll get back.
He must be at the meeting. Anyway, if the meeting, see, here's the thing. That's what I'm saying, folks. They're doing a land grab. So he says, Oakland Roots land grab underway. Oakland Roots land grab is on. Yeah. Oakland Roots land grab is on, folks. The land grab. So those of you watching, hey, how you doing? Who may be frightened about what I'm going to be putting out. Too bad, because I'm putting it out right now. Oakland Roots land grab is on. That's exactly what I'm saying. Oakland Roots land grab is on. Share, Twitter. Let's see here. Oakland Roots trying land grab at Coliseum. Oakland Roots Shine Land Grab at Coliseum. Hashtag Oakland. Like that. Boom. Boom. So it's out there, folks. I blasted that out. You can't keep a good vlogger down, can you? You can't keep a good vlogger down. Yeah. At all. I see that's a little lined up, not where I want it to be. Hold on a second. Funny how these panels seem to have a mind of their own, you know. You want them to go one way, they go the other. Okay. Let me try this. Go over here. Try that. And still nothing. Someone told me heads up. What the hell does that mean? Okay. How about heads down? All right. Well, don't quite know what's going on there. Let me see here. Maybe I got a spam. Nope. I don't. I don't. I don't. I do not. Okay. I do not. Do not. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, this is funny. People are playing games. Close. There. And close. All kinds of games afoot. Okay. That and that. Okay. All right. Now, anyway, we are okay. So anyway, trying to find out more about this land grab thing. You're wondering what I was doing. I was trying to rearrange. One moment, please, folks. I'm going to stop that screen again, and then go back to where we were with this PDF deal. That there, put that there. And what I want to have, what I'm trying to achieve, is some more information about this land grab and where it is at. I was trying to see if I can get Ray Bobbitt to come on and talk about this doggone thing, because he's watching it. Now, let me go back and see if I can get a hold of him, or we can get a hold of him one more time. We have to get rid of this stuff that we do. Everybody's trying to keep a secret from everybody else. And these aren't secrets worth having, you know? The Coliseum JPA meeting is probably about to wrap up. But by the end of the day, I will be able to put out enough content to inform you properly about what's happening. Now, there's something else I can do right now to help you, and that's this. Just occurred to me, my pea brain, to do this as well. Watch this. Coliseum JPA meeting. And the Oakland Commission. Whoops, that's not the one. City of Oakland ought to not have its own page on the JPA because it doesn't have anything on it, and it winds up in the Google sense parlance, and it winds up actually going over in search the Coliseum's own page. They should just merge them, so everybody gets the same information, because Word package I'm opening right now, all right, still has a link in it that doesn't work. It does not work. That is weird. I have never seen that. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, now I'm invited to a Zoom. I got a live link, folks. Hey, someone listened.
Recording in progress.
And yeah.
In every iteration, the arena stays in place. And so I think that what we're really looking at is sort of two things. If you were just to look at the time frame of where we are now to where the defeasance of the bonds come and those type of things, that's kind of where you get into a situation in which I'm not speaking again for the athletics, but you start looking at groundbreaking, and you're looking at a couple of years of planning potentially. So, but with the community coalitions that we have that are working with us, they are really trying to make sure that we are on track and we stay on track to make sure that development occurs at the site. So I would say that what we initially talked to the Roots about was a 2 or 3 year process. And we understood that they were looking for a permanent location. And we talked about the fact that we had been pursuing through the city because our research stated that the city was the route we needed to take with respect to the site, to Malibu and the site, from our negotiation perspectives. But I think that if, as we get through the site planning and as we go further in this process and as we work together with the athletics on how to best clear the title, we will have more information. So I think that the recommendation of the different commissioners that the Roots engage us as stakeholders, I think is really critical, and I think it's reasonable. And I think if you're planning a multi-billion-dollar development that's going to revitalize the community, you certainly don't want to be in a position where there could be a situation in which you have a lease occupation on a site that you need, and then you just can't move with it. So the flexibility is necessary. But I think that if we can communicate more directly, and I can talk to the athletics, and we can try to figure out what our overall plan will be as we progress and move in that direction more as we are, I think it's very helpful to allow for us to adopt these conversations. So I think that that's the long answer to the short question, Mr. Gardner.
I didn't hear the answer to my question.
I would say,
Mr. Chair, can we move that?
I would say 2 to 3 years would be our time frame.
Commissioner Kaplan, were you about to say something?
I'm so sorry, Mr. Chair. I was just going to say, I would suggest if I know we are in a public meeting at which this is an informational item. I think if this detailed conversation could be moved offline, and the Roots and ASCG and the other parties and Mr. Gardner could speak directly outside the meeting, then they could probably work through that detail.
Okay. I see Commissioner Reed's hand up, but we're actually allowing the public to speak now. Do you want to weigh in at this time, Commissioner Reed, or do you want to wait until we finish hearing from the public?
I can wait to finish hearing from the public. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any more public speakers on this matter?
Yes, we have Mr. Abraham as a public speaker with his hand raised.
Okay.
Hello.
Mr. Abraham, you're able to unmute yourself and speak for 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Roseman. Sorry about that. Hi, everybody. How you doing? I'd like to encourage this matter regarding the routes and AASCG to be re-agendized so that is not informational and actually leads to an action. And just so we can really focus on getting this out of the way, because it's going to take on chatter in the public. And once again, the organization is going to find itself behind public opinion as opposed to leading it. So that's just my suggestion. Thank you.
Any other public comment on this aspect of the executive director's report? All right, so let me go back to the commissioners, and I know Commissioner Reed wanted to speak to this matter.
Thank you, Chair Miley. I'll be brief with where we're moving with this item. I've been in conversation with the Roots and appreciate the update that was provided today by AASCG and all the conversation. I apologize, I got disconnected due to a power outage for a portion, but heard enough of the discussion. I did have some follow-up from Mr. Bobbitt's additional feedback, particularly on the timing of that 2 to 3 year process and just the proactive community center engagement that was mentioned and when that 2 to 3 year process could begin if agreed upon. But I do believe that there is enough that was shared here that we should have those conversations offline and certainly can bring this item back. And I'm not sure what the timing of bringing this item back would be, Mr. Gardner.
We can, based on the comments that you have made today, we will be meeting, I think we have a scheduled meeting with Roots next week. So I don't know that we will have enough information for you to take any formal action in terms of approving anything. But we will definitely put it on the October agenda. There are many issues here that need to be addressed before we can bring something for you to take formal action in terms of approving a resolution that would authorize a license agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. And I know that there were a number of matters that city staff have been working to address between, I think, the county on just some environmental matters. And so I will follow up with city staff and as well as both of the parties of interest. Thank you.
So any other commissioners have comments or questions? So Mr. Gardner,
Yes.
be clear on this. So you're considering bringing this back to the JPA in October.
At your direction, yes.
But once again, we have no authority in terms of entering into a negotiated agreement with Roots. So would this be an action item, or once again, it would be an agendized informational item, or what's your thinking on this?
Well, the first steps, as legal counsel indicated as well, if you are so inclined to do so, and if the city and the county are so inclined to do so, the current agreement with the JPA's role and authority could be amended so that the JPA has an authorized delegated responsibility to lead these negotiations as we have for all of your license and lease agreements. That could be done if the city and the county were to approve it.
Okay.
So I think at the October meeting, and I need to work with JPA council, both city and county, on when and how that can best be done. But perhaps we could do that as early as October. That would, and council would have to tell us who should act first in that. Is it the city and the county and then the JPA, or is it the other way around? I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. Sometimes the city likes to wait for the county, and sometimes the county likes to wait for the city. I mean, so, okay, so you're going to approach, Mr. Gardner, so you're going to approach council for both entities, and then both entities will have a chance to decide whether or not to delegate authority to the JPA to negotiate on this particular matter. Hopefully you'll have that answer by our October meeting, but in the meantime, you'll also be having conversations with Roots and maybe African American Sports Entertainment Group and the A's, just to preliminarily see if you can get some indication of what an agreement might look like.
I think most of you know me well enough that I'm going to proceed as though we do have the authority
Okay, great.
to keep these conversations going.
Yeah, thank
You can always vote no.
Yeah, so thank you so very much for taking that initiative. Yes, and I'll do what I can do on the county side. And I'm sure Commissioners Kaplan or Reed will do what they can do on the city side. Commissioner Reed.
Just for a point of clarity, through the chair to either Mr. Gardner or to City Council, would that require that item going back to City Council for approval of that delegation of authority?
Well, yes, the city and the county, because we currently do not have it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and in my time on the JPA, at least, I can't remember how long I've been on the JPA, but it's been at least a decade. I've tried to get delegated authority to the JPA, for instance, to negotiate on behalf of both entities around the Raiders. I wasn't successful. So that is much bigger than this matter. The entities were hesitant to do that. But I'm hoping for this particular concern, the county and the city would be comfortable giving the JPA that authority, recognizing if the JPA takes the lead in negotiating this, it still would have to get approved by both entities, the county and the city. And it still would be vetted through a public process, JPA, the city, and the county. Okay, Commissioner Baker.
Yes, thank you, Chair Miley. One thought is that, have we had an opportunity to understand the 3-5 year vision of ASEG and what their plans are for the site? Because I think if we're just looking at one tenant versus another tenant, it's very short-term thinking, right? We need to look at the second horizon, meaning what is the 5 to 10 year outlook? What is that vision? And just understand what it is. Because if we puzzle piece this and enter into an agreement without understanding the bigger picture, I think we could be stifling whatever that vision is. So I'd love to have an opportunity to see what that vision looks like. Hopefully the Roots can fit inside that vision. I think everyone is supportive of the Roots being able to have a home, but where does it fit into the larger vision? So I would encourage that to be a part of the conversation. I don't know if Mr. Bobbitt's on the phone still, but what is that vision, right? And also the A's, and who's going to ultimately be the owner? Are the A's interested in selling, or what was still going to be joint? What does all that look like with respect to how we negotiate sort of the short-term situation with one tenant?
Thank you for those comments, Mr. Commissioner Baker, and I'd be delighted to know all of that myself. I'm sure the rest of us would, as well as the public. So I think if we can get some clarity on that, that'd be fantastic. Anybody else from the commission? So I think we more or less have an understanding that this will be back before us in October as an agendized item in some form or another. And in the meantime, Mr. Gardner is going to be having a number of conversations. So I'm going to thank Mr. Gardner for that. So let's see, Mr. Gardner, we're back with the rest of your executive director's report.
The next 2 items should go a lot faster. As I said in the report, those of you who were on the commission in 2019 know that we had to renegotiate the naming rights for the stadium. And that took far longer than anybody ever expected. It took several months to renegotiate that agreement. And then once we reached agreement, the COO, Chief Operating Officer at Reign Central, retired. A new president was brought in, and we needed to have their continuing consent to the renegotiated agreement. We got that, and we're now in 2020, and right at the time that we said, yes, this is all inked and ready to go, the pandemic hit, and we had to shut down everything. That required us to have to renegotiate that Reign Central agreement yet again with respect to what was a fair amount for them to pay when there was nothing going on in that stadium. That took several months. We achieved that, and those payments went back to January 2020. Finally, that was done. And now it's past time that we turn our attention to the potential naming rights for the arena. I've had some preliminary conversations with AEG about how we might pursue that. And so what I want to inform you of is that I plan to actively work with AEG to come up with a solicitation package to see what the interest might be out there for, and we think the interest out there, incidentally, for naming rights for the arena. And what I have said to them is that we've had a number of conversations about RFP process, non-RFP process, reminding everybody that we're a public agency. And I've said to them that if there are some good and compelling reasons for why the RFP process doesn't work, then we need to see at least 2 and preferably more proposals for the JPA to consider. And then, of course, this also will require the approval of the city and the county. But just want you to know that I am starting that process. We have committed to absolutely nothing. I will come back to you and let you know where we are in terms of actively pursuing this in terms of any solicitation. But there will be several opportunities for you to say yay or nay. That's all I have on the arena naming rights. But I would say that we are a good 18 months behind where I would have hoped we would have been, but for the pandemic, which then just upended everything.
I see Commissioner Vukasin's hand up.
Yeah, just a point of clarification, Director Gardner. Once we achieve a successful naming rights conclusion, where do the fees go? Do they go 100% to the JPA and then get distributed to the city and county, or does AEG?
No. Well, first of all, the license agreement for the arena will look, the naming rights, I'm sorry, will look quite different from the naming rights in the stadium. There will be a major role for AEG to play for whomever is the naming rights, as was in the past when I guess it was Oracle or whatever. And so that structure will look quite different than the Reign Central agreement. The net proceeds would belong to the JPA. But remember, JPA doesn't own anything. So the net proceeds would flow through the JPA, and to the extent that there is any surplus, all things considered in that budget, whatever is left, then the city and the county's payments on the bonds are reduced. And that was probably a very convoluted way of responding to your question. Let me see if I can do it with more clarity. When we are successful, because we shall be, with naming rights, the structure of that will look different than the structure for Reign Central for the stadium, because of the role that AEG would have to play in implementing that on an ongoing basis, what they have to do for that to work. That would all flow into, the net amount will flow into the JPA's budget. And it's not calculated separately. It's all added with Rain Central's naming rights and with the A's lease payments and whatever we generate from event rentals, et cetera, et cetera. And again, to the extent as we did this current year, we were successful. And my goal is to the maximum extent possible, try to reduce the reliance on the city and the county's general fund in terms of supporting the bond. So if there is a surplus at the end of the year, my recommendation has been to reduce the city and the county's contributions by whatever that surplus is.
Thank you.
If there are no questions or comments regarding that, we can go to the AEG agreement, Mr. Chair. But are there any questions or comments from the public or from commissioners?
Me. Yes. Me.
Chair Miley, I see one member of the public with their hand raised, Mr. Abraham.
Righty.
Unmute, please. Yeah.
Mr. Abraham, you're
Thank
allowed
you.
to speak.
Thank you. Through the chair, when I headed the effort to bring the Super Bowl to Oakland and we lost to Jacksonville in NFL votes, we also had a naming rights plan to name both not just the stadium and the arena, but also the floor. In other words, Corporation XYZ Stadium at Corporation ABCD Field. So that would actually double the value. And at that point, also, I recommend that we target the naming rights agreement monies we want. We've been, for decades, Henry, way behind our actual value in naming rights. If it involves partnering with the corporation to say, for example, put us in line to get an NBA organization that competes against the Warriors, that's what we need to do, because we are woefully behind as a city and a facility where we need to be in terms of having organizations that get us to that level, and we have to be aggressive about getting them. Thank you.
Any other speakers from the public?
Chair Miley, I do not see anyone else with their hand raised.
Mr. Burtis, back to you.
Okay, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, the last item is the AEG Agreement Amendment. At our June meeting, I think it was, we had this item on the agenda for approval. Upon further review, there are some relatively minor changes that need to be made in that resolution. These include some minor edits and modifications regarding definitions. The naming rights for the arena was inadvertently included in that resolution and should be removed. We're correcting the ownership to Outfront Media, which should have been in the resolution. And we're moving the reference to Levy Food Service because that's in a separate agreement. So there are no material changes in this, and the resolution has been prepared by council, and that is the next item on your agenda. If there are no questions or comments, then, Mr. Chair, I think we can move to the resolution, which makes the changes that I just referenced.
And we're doing this before we hear from AEG.
Oh, you know, absolutely. If Nicole wants to speak, she certainly can. And they've been involved in all of these edits.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I have no further comment. There's no material changes to this. So no further comment.
Okay. So we want to take up the resolution now?
I think it's the next item on the agenda, is it not?
Yep, it is.
We're at item 6A. Next item would be 6B, General Manager's Report.
Okay, I'm sorry, Nicole.
Items.
Then the resolution. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I was
It's the next
I'm sorry.
action item.
Yes,
wondering. I wasn't sure if we wanted to take it up now or wait. Okay, so let's have General Manager's report.
Copy that. I will be brief and go over the event activity. The added events are the Breakaway Festival on the south side of the parking lot on October 14th and 15th. Luis Conriquez, October 22nd. Elevation Worship, November 1st. Shreya Ghoshal, November 12th, the Millennium Tour, November 27th, and one canceled event, Shawn Mendes. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Before you step away, Ms. Strange, I'm just recalling that Commissioner Vukasin raised a couple of issues with me, and perhaps you can respond to them as part of your report. And Commissioner Vukasin, do you want to raise those issues now? Because
Yes.
they're general management operation.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I was just curious. I know we've had a few animal sightings over the past months, years, and they keep occurring. And I guess I don't know if I'm concerned, but my question is, obviously, nothing. There's been no negative incidents with our guests, whether it's tenants or their guests. And I'm just I'm nervous that there could potentially be. And what I'd like to know is what we've done in the past. I've not been a long time commission member to manage the various sets of animals, wild animals, and then what we're doing currently, and are there any plans to do anything different in the future in order to ensure safe events?
Sure, I'm prepared to speak about that. There have been some possum sightings in the stadium this season. Ecolab, which is our pest control partner, has set up traps and relocated the possums once they are caught. Also, lately, as you guys know, when we experienced all the hot weather last week, it also brought out ants and bugs. Ecolab has sprayed and set traps to prevent these insects from returning. This is an ongoing battle when we do have hot weather with bugs looking for food, water, and shelter. We're also working directly with the A's and Airmark to ensure there are no food sources available post-game and in between homestands to prevent critters from being attracted to the venue. We have a contract with Ecolab, Airmark has a contract with Ecolab, so we're all working in partnership to manage the insects and animals from coming on property especially during the baseball season and during other events in the stadium. But we're all working in collaboration to maintain a good plan and have our pest control partner Ecolab out. They're on site every single day.
I would add further, because we have had comments, one about feral cats, and we also have talked about the fact that, well, you mentioned the possums. We start with the possums. We are not, well, actually it's true for the feral cats as well. We cannot euthanize any of those animals. We have been working with the city's animal control department. The possums have to be relocated. You can't just kill them. They're protected. And so that is going to require constant vigilance. With respect to the feral cats, we've had active participation, help actually from the city's animal control division, as well as volunteer organizations in controlling that population. And when we have been able to trap the feral cats, they have been neutered and spayed. And so that population is being pretty much controlled. If there are newborns and we catch them early enough, those are eligible for adoption. But after about 8 or 10 weeks, your time period has passed. They're feral at that point, and they're not going to be adoptable or domesticated. So we think we have reasonably good control over that, but not perfect by any means.
I guess in a perfect world, these wild animals wouldn't be on premise. And so is our realistic goal to manage these populations? And if so, what exactly does manage mean? if I could ask. I'm just curious about metrics. I don't know, management could be the ideal thing, but I don't know what that means. Is that one sighting per month? Is that what? Curious.
Management is very imperfect because the best result would be their complete removal, never to be seen again. That everything I have read and learned and have been educated on in the last 3 years says that that is not achievable. So manage means, with respect to the feral cats, what I just said, that is to trap, spay, and neuter them, which reduces the increased population. One of the other things that I learned with those feral cats is that if you relocate them, they will simply be replaced by other feral cats. All the experts agree on that. So the best management there is to control the existing population. And we think that the feral cats pretty much are under control right now. Certainly far less of a nuisance than they were a year and a half ago. And there's something to be said for the feral cats too now. We used to have a major rodent problem. We haven't seen a rodent in 3 years. So there is some balancing there. With respect to the possums, again, those are protected animals. And so the best we can do is relocate them, take them back basically to where they came from, and they will show up from time to time. We set traps to try to catch them. With respect to ants, you can spray those, you can deal with that. That's real easy. A good can of Raid will take care of that. But it's an ongoing maintenance and vigilance issue, one that we, will do the best we can. One of the things that I have thought about, suggested actually, is that prior to next baseball season, we're nearing the end, that we do make up a punch list with the A's, since they're the primary users of the facility, and that we do inspection of that property every time before there is a homestand, and that we go through that punch list. That will not be perfect, but it should improve controlling the issues that we're trying to deal with, I hope.
Thank you very much.
I don't want to spend too much time on this, but with the possums, are they protected under state or federal law? What is the protection status?
I think they're protected by state law.
I was just wondering if we can get an.
I could confirm that, but I think they're protected by state law.
Yeah, just wondering if we can get an exemption to the euthanizing policy to see if they can be euthanized. So, I don't know. So just a thought. I know we want to be compassionate to animals and things of that nature, but ultimately at some point we need to control the problem.
They have been, first of all, there's at least a family. I don't think we have had any sightings recently. Maybe Ms. Strange can respond to that. I don't think in the last month we've had any sightings. But that doesn't mean they won't come back.
Sure, sure. Okay, I think Nicole finished her report, and any other commissioners have any questions for Nicole before we move to our next item? This is all informational. Okay, let's go to our next agenda item.
Next item, number 7 on the agenda, new business. Resolution ratifying and approving changes to the Second Amendment to agreement with AEG Management Oakland LLC for management services for the Coliseum complex for a specified term.
Move approval, Kaplan.
Okay, thank you.
Second, Halbert.
All right. Kaplan, second by Halbert. Any commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? Do we have any public comments on this item?
So members of the public wishing to speak on this item, please raise your hand. After your name is called, we'll have 2 minutes to speak. At this moment, I see Mr. Abraham with his hand raised.
Oh.
Okay.
Hey,
Mr. Abraham, you're allowed to speak.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm going to take the liberty of adding a quick comment on the last one because no department was called to make a comment. I'll just say very quickly that my suggestion is that you see what best practices are done regarding animal control at other stadiums and then go from there, because this has been too insular for too much. Now, regarding the matter of AEG, it would be nice to see a spreadsheet regarding how they have done their work and what performance standard they're evaluating their work under, so that we can have a better idea of how to evaluate what they've done, because we don't have our own. I'm not comfortable with using one that they have, but I'll be more concerned if they had none at all. Thank you.
Any other members of the public have their hands up?
Chair Miley, there are no additional members with their hands up.
Back to the commissioners or staff comments, questions?
I do not see any commissioners with their hands raised.
Yeah. And Mr. Gardner, in terms of what Zenny mentioned, is there anything we need to pursue there?
Yes, and we do have, there are things that AEG is required to do and to do competently, and I can share that with you. I would also add, incidentally, although several things going on with that stadium. One, it's an aging facility. Now that doesn't have anything to do with these animals and pests and other things. But I have done some preliminary checking, and the stadium is not alone with the intrusion of unwelcome guests. I think I don't have to go much farther than across the bay to verify that. And incidentally, I did read that there are rattlesnakes in Las Vegas.
Of which kind?
Thank goodness we don't have that problem. Okay.
Just want the record to show.
Righty. So the motion.
For item 7, new business, the motion was made by Vice Chair Kaplan, seconded by Commissioner Harbert. I can take the vote. Commissioner Baker.
Aye.
Commissioner Harbert.
Aye.
Commissioner Reed. Commissioner Reed.
She's probably muted.
Aye. Thank you. Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Commissioner Vukasin.
Aye.
Vice Chair Kaplan.
Aye.
Chair Miley.
Aye.
And Commissioner Iglesias is absent. That will be 7. Next item on your agenda is adjournment.
Mr. Chair, before we adjourn, one, I want to go back to the technical glitches that we had. Well, I don't know what's going on, but I want to go back to the technical glitches that we had at the beginning of the meeting. And I am going to try, prior to our next meeting, to do a test early before we start the meeting to make sure, one, all of you can get in, and two, to do a test to make sure that the public can get in. So we will be attentive to that.
Yes.
Right. And before we adjourn, I'd like to see if we could adjourn in the memory of Georgia Richardson. It's my understanding Georgia was a commissioner. I'm not recalling when, but Georgia Richardson passed away unexpectedly within the last few months. And actually, she was engaged to be married again. It was really very heartbreaking that she had a stroke and passed away. So I'd like to see if we could adjourn in the memory of Georgia Richardson, a former commissioner on the JPA. If we could just have a moment of silence. All right, so thank you, everyone. Everyone be safe.
Thank you all very much.
Have a pleasant time, and we'll see some of you around, and we'll see all of you at our next meeting. We're adjourned.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for that adjournment as well, Chair Miley.
Thank you.
So there you go, folks. That is JPA meeting is over. We have left the building, as it were, and I think the JPA. I think there's a problem because I need to clarify this with appropriate parties, but it looks to me like Ray Bobbitt and AESEG have a gigantic potential tortious interference case on their hands. So what do I mean? Well, look, they already have a contractual right to negotiate with the Oakland-Alameda County Coliseum Joint Powers Authority, the City of Oakland, and the county with respect to control part of the land that was once held by the City of Oakland. And now, right at the time when AASCG and the City of Oakland are about the business of dotting I's and crossing T's, all of a sudden, it sounds like the Councilman Retriever Reed, the Oakland Roots want to get in, but not under the umbrella of AASCG, but essentially replacing them. And I hope I'm wrong about that, because if I'm not wrong, then AESCG has a wide open shot to file a tortious interference lawsuit against the Oakland Roots. And if I were them, I would ask the council member to kindly, step out of that process, because her actions could be thought of, her actions are basically on their face tortious interference, interfering with a current contract is what she's trying to do, rather than working with AESCG, getting in and trying to get the Oakland Roots in as a kind of an anchor tenant in a new facility, in a refurbished facility or Coliseum City, right? That's the way you do it. But it sounds to me like the way she's a part of having it done is actually hostile to AESCG. Now, Treva's running for mayor and all that, fine, but it doesn't give her the right to do what it looks like she's trying to do. That's my opinion, okay? What I really wanted to say had nothing to do with all that. I missed open forum because it was hard to get in. And I want to thank, however, Renata for straightening that out. The Coliseum needs to have a weekly report of what events were held there in celebration of the fact that they were held there. For example, Bad Bunny was last night. Bad Bunny. And yet, and I said this on the outset, yet there's no discussion of how it went. There's nothing putting that the event was even there on social media. It's like the Coliseum doesn't care that Bad Bunny was there, right? Bad Bunny was at the Coliseum outdoors. Bad Bunny was at the Coliseum outdoors. Those are the things you celebrate. On Instagram, Bad Bunny photographs was number one. But I digress because I've got to shift to the next show. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com. That ends this broadcast. And I'll be back. I'm going to start the next show a little later, but I will be back.